So that's okay. First of all, is everyone okay if I sit down to present to you tonight? I know my predecessor was very good at leaping around here, very gesticulating and so on, and I'm a bit past that stage. So if you forgive me, I'll stay seated and hope you can all see and hear okay. Welcome to what I believe is the 28th AGM of Orchard Hill and District Neighbourhood Watch Association. We have a couple of apologies from Anne Wainhouse and Steve Law, who are both away on holiday at the moment. Welcome also to yourselves, to anybody watching us remotely on our YouTube channel, and to councillors Chris Towell and Mike Bird, who have joined us tonight to answer some questions or attempt to answer some questions at a later point in the meeting. Okay, I'm going to start first of all just with a run through what we've been doing during the course of the year. Quite a lot of activity. And the first part of that's going to ask the question, how should a neighbourhood watch operate in 2024? And that's an interesting one because clearly the perception of neighbourhood watch in many parts of the country is that it's something that belongs to people of my generation, and the interest of younger people is not so prevalent in this area. In fact, one of the committee had a neighbour come into the area a short while ago who attempted to suggest he might like to join the association. So, well, I'm not a busybody, I don't go into other people's business. And we had to explain that this isn't what we do. We simply look after each other, and we do that by exchanging information that's relevant to safety within the community, not to find out what they get up to behind the curtains. So I think it's an important point that ever gets raised with you to stress with particularly the younger community that this is what we try and do. We're not there to be a big brother behind everything that's going on. Okay, looking at this slide, this was a review that was taken not that long ago about the top 10 traits of what people in the UK thought made a good neighbour. This has come from the National Neighbourhood Watch Association. I'll make more reference to them a little bit later on. So the top one there, as we see, 74%, they take parcels in. Right, okay, well, I'm sure we've all been there and had that happen in our own situation. Speaking for myself in the Grove where I live, we do take parcels in for the houses all around us and vice versa. I don't know how that works in more mainstream area of the roads, for example on Sutton Road, how practical that is beyond to, but as an indication of people being concerned about their neighbours, it's probably a good action on the list. Okay, number two then, on 61%, they're quiet and courteous. Well, that just depends, I suppose, on where you live and who your neighbour is. We've had a little bit of interest, if that's the right word, on the WhatsApp groups regarding fireworks over the last year or two. Fireworks always seem to be a bone of contention between those people who think they're great and those people who think they're nothing but a damn nuisance and just keeping you awake at night. Fireworks are very much part of a number of the religious communities that we have, and I think that personally that is something that we really ought to be able to deal with. If it was going on every week, then one can understand people getting upset, but I think tolerance probably comes a little bit into it here. So what quiet and courteous actually means is probably open to a little bit of interpretation. Okay, now the third one down, which is in a sense where the organisation started, keep an eye on a neighbour's property when they're not there. And that's part and parcel of it. We all have holidays when the time when the house is unoccupied. And if you have a community that is caring about what's going on, then we hope that they would take part in making sure that if anything looks suspicious, that at least it was checked out rather than just left and done, nothing is done. They're not nosy at 43%. Okay, well, I'm not. That's something that's saying that if they're not nosy, they're a good neighbour, is how I'm reading that one. So obviously the concern of other people is there, but that's right in the middle. So we'll leave that one where it is. They're courteous about where they park. Oh, yes. Now, those of you living in cul-de-sacs will know that there's a nice spot at the top of the cul-de-sac where you usually get two cars across the width of the road. and whenever next door either side comes to visit, they will always park there. We have a 2-car wide space at the top of our cul-de-sac. It's interesting today, somebody came apart right in the middle of the two. So, were they being courteous by the fact they were further away from the 2 drives at either end? Or were they just not thinking about the second car that might come up and want to park there? Obviously, that takes some people's considerations as far as that's concerned. They take the bins in and out for neighbours. Okay. Can't say I've personally got involved in that one. Perhaps some of you good folks have. Certainly, if the neighbours in need of it for reasons of their inability to do it themselves, then that's a good helping hand, I would imagine. And we get down to the lower percentages. They keep to themselves. Okay, now, again, we'll have to work ourselves out what they mean by that one. But obviously, again, it comes back to this gentle point between being not nosy and being helpful and keeping an eye on what your neighbour is doing. They do odd jobs for neighbours, pretty well down the list there towards the bottom. I guess that's a helping out maybe with some shopping or anything along that line. And almost at the bottom there, their neighbours tell them they are a good neighbour. Okay, right. Well, I think we all like to be told we're a good neighbour, and that's nice to know. And one guesses the people that are getting the help here, we're telling those that are doing the help that they're a good neighbour. And finally, something that happens, we're well aware of throughout the COVID epidemic, they check that their neighbour has everything they need. I'm aware the council have got a department set up or an email set up for people that needed help through COVID. And I'm aware that was probably hopefully that's quite well used. I don't know whether you have any knowledge of the take on that, Mike. Was there anything?
It varies, but you're quite right. There are still people who are vulnerable and they do utilise that sort.
Sure. And because that's not confined to COVID. No. So we've left that link on our website for that reason in the magazine, so that even though it's referenced as a COVID link, it's still active. That's good to hear. Okay, we have this year, for the first time, formally registered with a national organisation, Neighbourhood Watch UK. And if you want to look at their website and investigate a bit more, then ourwatch.org.uk is the address that you need to go to. This presentation, along with the magazine, of course, will be online on our website later in the week. So if you need anything, go to that, and I'll be talking about that a bit later on. All right, what are we running at the moment then? Well, okay, we've got 2 WhatsApp groups, which, can I ask who is a member of one or more of the WhatsApp groups who are here tonight? That's good, thank you. We have 2 groups. One is the open group, which everyone's welcome to, and you can comment on topics of local interest as well as specific crime-related reporting. Now, there's been some discussion recently about, people that wanted to move from one group to another because they decided that, much as they loved the lady with the cat, there were plenty of other things that they could spend their time doing rather than reading through to find out if there's anything else in that group. What we will say is that anything that is crime related that appears on the open group will get transferred to what we call the filtered group, which is the second one, but no cats. We do, on the second group now, include other items of local interest, particularly in regard to things like planning permissions and road alterations. I did send out a circular to the filtered group to say when this was set up, it was specifically said it would only be for crime-related issues. But all the response I got back said, yes, please include things like the planning and what have you, because they really don't want to. They love the cats, but they don't want to know about the cats in that particular group. So our feeling is that this is working reasonably well. Does anyone want to comment at this point about the groups? Is everyone happy with what they're getting on their appropriate group? If you do feel that you don't want all the open chats, that's fine. Just let us know. And we can
there's not many updates. You know, when something's happened, I'd love to see results if anything has happened.
Results. I'm going to come to that if I may do. Yes. It's a big issue, that is, but we'll come to that later on. Okay.
Sorry to interrupt, Bob. The one point I would have mentioned about the open group is it would be good for people to know when they're talking about their cat's been lost for an hour, that people can reply directly to that person rather than to include everyone. Because when you do message, it does go to everyone in the group, but you can directly reply to that single person without sort of everyone's phone pinging all day long.
If you look at the options for replying, there's a reply privately, which goes just to the person that posted it originally, and that means it doesn't go to everybody else. So I leave that with you. I mean, it's sometimes the replies do have an element that someone else might pick up on, so it's a difficult one, but they're quite busy, you know, by standards, I think, and we're quite happy for the content that's there. There's one thing that's come up recently. I was contacted by one of the open group members to point out that two of the members that we'd admitted on the group don't actually live in Orchard Hills. They live in Aldridge. Now, the implication of the message was that they weren't really that interested in what went on in Orchard Hills. They just wanted to get on and cause mischief. Now, I said to the person concerned we would monitor this very closely, and we have. We haven't seen anything that actually supports that point of view, but it perhaps does become a question whether how wide we should let the group go. We haven't so far insisted on everyone providing their address and postcode. On one hand, it would be useful to know that we were within the right area, but on the other hand, we don't want to restrict people that are right on the edge of our community, for example. So I think at the moment we tendency to let things lie as they are. If anyone gets awkward or trivial was the word that was used to me, then we will obviously jump on it fairly rapidly, because at the end of the day, the purpose is there for you to be able to communicate with the rest of the community around here, and at the same time have information on the crime situation as best we know it. And I think that's one of the important things that needs to be stressed. Okay, moving on. Right, this is just the first page of the current magazine, which will be distributed online from tomorrow morning. And those of you that have got groups to take paper copies to, they are all over here tonight. Just put this in because it just highlights this is the last mass distribution we're going to do of paper copies. We have a list of people who, for various reasons, need to receive a paper copy, and we're quite happy to do that and provide that copy. But we do need to have the names and addresses of those people involved. At the moment, I think I can count on the number of people that continue to ask for paper copies. Usually it's people that's most elderly amongst the community. The last thing we want to do in making this change to go pretty much online is to in any way alienate those people. So, but we do rely on people telling us who those people in their communities are, local communities are. So if you're aware of somebody who, an elderly lady or gentleman who are much on their own and maybe in a situation where they've always relied on the local coordinator to provide the information back. Now that won't be there going forward so readily. So I'll just say again, if you know of anybody, please can you let us know, email the information into magazine at orchardhillsneighbourhood.co.uk, and we will make sure those people are still serviced. We have to rely on you for this because there's a lot of people on the estate, so if you could let us know, that would be great.
So could we send an email to you, or
to me?
Do you have to go onto the website?
No. I mean, basically, actually.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, what I'll do, Ian, at the back of the left-hand box are about 50 copies of the magazine which are not allocated. Can you grab those and just pass them around, please? I think those are stairs. That's what it says. Yeah. So forgive me, I was going to get these given out at the beginning, but I got distracted. You should all get another copy of these through your letterbox anyway, but if you'd like to take one for tonight, there is a number of references which I can then make, which are in there.
Okay. Yeah, I'm doing all right.
Anyone else? All that one? Everybody good? Yeah.
They've got a few there. We've tried to produce, or provide, I should say, an email address for each relevant operational action that we do. Magazine, chair, what was the one we had for the car, the business, the traffic business, it was inquiry, I think it was. Any of the email addresses that are in there, you can use those to contact us with. Or if you go to the website, ohnw.co.uk, this form is there, linked right on the on the first page, and this is a contact information that comes to us, and this goes straight into our MailChimp database, which is what we use for sending out the electronic notifications for the magazine's availability. You can use this for anything you like, any query of any sort. If you want to subscribe to the magazine, you need to tick that box at the bottom left-hand corner in order for you to be added into the database. For those who are not aware of it, MailChimp is a pretty much an industry standard mechanism used for distributing large volumes of magazines, flyers, whatever you like. It's very widely used, a very secure system, as secure as it gets. And as I'm sure you're aware, not everything is anything is 100% secure, but it's as secure as it gets. And that will then let us know that you want to go to the electronic magazine. In order to be on that, we do need you to actually go through this process. We're up to about 160 people on the database at the moment. So there's still options for plenty more people to join. But if we stick strictly to the GDPR regulations that do still exist post-Brexit, then we do have to have your specific request to put you onto it. So if you say to me, I want to go onto it, well, that's okay, I'll be happy to put it on, but we would much prefer that you went through the website procedure or even just sent a basic email saying, please, can you add us into the list?
So
any question on that one?
Do you think that's all that you'll have left of the neighbourhood watch? Because how many are there on the list at the minute? It's about 600 or 700.
There are 915 houses on the estate, I'm told, by someone who counted them. It's very difficult to know. I mean, you know, the timing of this meeting we decided was best done in the early summer, but obviously, as we're aware, some people, as you know, are still on holiday, and that's inevitability. There'll always be something that will prevent people getting involved in the meeting. The other side of this was going down to having just this meeting as a face-to-face one. It is. We're not sure how much difference this makes. Certainly the evidence so far in terms of the activity for Street Watch, for the activity for WhatsApp groups, it hasn't made any difference to the fact that this is the first meeting for a year, and the only meeting of the year. Now, I'm interested to hear people's thoughts on this. If you would like to go back to having quarterly or even 6-monthly meetings, then I'm quite happy to look at that. I mean, could we gather some opinion on this? Does someone want to put a view forward as to whether they would feel that's necessary or preferable?
I think it's a good idea to have them more than once a year. Whether it's every 3 months or so, but maybe twice a year.
Okay, would 6 months be sufficient, do you think, or would quarterly still, you know?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I mean, I think
just
that
really just people together.
yeah, okay.
And it's really. We do too much online, I think, and sometimes it needs to be a face thing for people to take notice.
Yes, I mean, there is nothing to be said like a face-to-face meeting. I would agree entirely. It's not a problem. We can do that. I think the real reason, or part of the reason that we fall back from it for the last year, is when David offered his resignation last year. We were all a bit surprised. I mean, these things happen, but having been a person who took over about 8 years ago originally from Alan Crunden, who many of you will know, or if you're not aware of, still lives on the estate. Alan is now in his mid-90s, I believe. So when David took over from him, I always remember his presentation from last year, saying that when he came along, there was these lovely old folks all there sitting there in Neighbourhood Watch, and he was the real young thing sitting in the corner. And then when he put his hand up to say he was willing to be the chair, everyone nearly fell off their chairs. And it's one of these things that we can all get involved with. Getting face-to-face contact is important. And if we get a general consensus that that's going to make it easier and we're going to get more people coming along, then I think we can certainly look at that. Maybe we put out a questionnaire after the meeting, Ian, and see what those people who are not here tonight, see whether they have a view on this and see what would ultimately be the best solution. In the meantime, anyway, you can contact us by any means that is in the magazine there. So please let us know anything that would benefit you. Okay, a few things have been going on in the course of the year. This one I think is well known to most people. I went back through the WhatsApp chats earlier in the day, and I could find as far back as December of last year. In that time, we've had half a dozen instances across the road of robberies taking place. We did think at one point maybe things had changed because we went a gap of several months without anything actually happening, but then all of a sudden it seemed to have started up again. We've had information from the staff that are in there that obviously they're upset when this happens. It doesn't seem to be the case that anyone has actually decided not to work there, as far as I'm aware. The staff that are in there are still those that have been there for some time.
There was 2 last month as well.
Okay, yeah, I'll ask you. Those are basically what I can quickly find actually in the WhatsApp chat. So so that makes everything 3, 4, 7, doesn't it? So yes, that's continued cause for concern.
I've noticed there was a van there a few days ago.
Yeah.
Lifting up CCTV.
Yeah. Okay. So then maybe they are actually going to do something about it this time. I did find a reference as well to the parkour co-op having been burgled as well, robbed, I say. And it was suggested by one of our residents that maybe we could get together in terms of feeding our information to them regarding this and them to us. I will take that, at the moment I haven't done anything about it, but I will take that one on board because, again, the wider the net is, then the better the results should be. Okay, so I had hoped to have somebody from the police here tonight as well. In fact, they assured me that they would do their absolute utmost to have somebody here. But unless he's in disguise in the CID, I guess they're not here. So,
Chairman, Director Phil Ponson, who is the Chief Executive Co-op for the Leeds Counties, this one. And basically, it's not just this particular co-op.
no, I appreciate
the
that.
co-op's working well.
Yeah.
In as much, if you go in there, there's normally only one member of staff.
Yeah.
He did assure me, and he did do what he said, put security in there, but the bloke, to be fair, it wouldn't frighten me. The one thing had just left school. We'll see a van parked there, and you'll see a bloke in there who is their security presence. It doesn't frighten me. I did speak to the young lad who was, told me categorically this bloke come in with some kind of hammer or weapon, and it was like the instructions are just let them have what they want because it's now becoming a bigger problem than people realise. Shoplifting and crime of this nature. My wife was in Aldridge last week, and the guy came in with a carrier bag, and he emptied all the hair products into a bag. Must have had about 3,000 or 4,000 quid worth, but some of these were 29 and 30 pounds. These hair stuff. He just walked out.
Yeah.
And the staff basically, quite rightly, said, we've got our instructions.
It's not their problem to enforce, is it?
No, but it's our problem because that's why the prices are going up.
Exactly. Yeah.
It costs. But they did do as they said, and there is a security presence. Not every day, but a lot of the days. And I have to say, whether it's enough, I don't.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's unreasonable to expect a shop assistant to tackle someone with a 6-gun or whatever it happens to be.
It seems to be the chosen weapon nowadays.
It is. I think it's just a question of there perhaps being enough visual deterrence to say, well, we'll go to the one down the road rather than this one.
Yes.
It just moves the problem rather than solving it, though. Yeah.
And I think it's been helpful as well, Bob, that the police won't deal with anything on the towns.
Yes, I've had that's interesting, Christmas. I picked that up on. I was watching a program the other day, and
Yeah.
I hadn't realised that it was on the private security firms in a number of the shopping centres that are privately maintained for security purposes. And the one said, "Oh, okay, well, it's only that much." So it was 2 items of £60 and another of 20, something like that. The police aren't interested. They said, there's no point in reporting it because they will just send it back to us. Which I don't know. That's a difficult one.
Licensing, it's been put a license, they won't charge anything
Yeah.
until because government someone won't do anything about it.
I did hear actually the police did pick up some people from one of the roads.
Yes,
Mm.
these were the ones that were down on the canal,
Yeah.
and then went out Park Hall direction.
Yes.
And I think if what was reported back was correct, that the people who picked up from that one, the one was given a conditional discharge because there was insufficient evidence, and the other one was fined about £300, I believe, and a slap on the wrist. So
He rapidly went to the local co-op, nicked some stuff so he could pay the fine.
yeah, it's. I know we get into the criminal justice system, which I don't think we'll much nearer tonight, but yeah. So unfortunately, this seems to be an event of our age, and we'll have to see what successive governments are able, if any, to do about it. But I think, given the fact that this is actually happening, again, it just highlights the more we can pass information between ourselves and onward to the police. Ultimately, that can only help the situation rather than make it worse. Okay. Right, another item that's been causing us interesting comments over the last few months, more along that now, is the proposed plans for the housing behind Sutton Road on the Longhorn side. I haven't been able to ascertain any more detailed information on this. Do if you gentlemen know anything about what's happening?
Which site is this from?
The one.
But a lot of going.
No, it's a fishing exercise. It's a developer who thinks that, we've got the local plan which we're going through at the moment. Mr. Gove has done a chicken run and not standing again since he decided that first of all the mandatory targets for housing we've got to build on the green belt. Then when he realised it was a bit of a hot potato, he said, "Oh well, it's advisory. You can deal with it. So we'll deal with your mess." But this is just a fishing exercise by a developer. My own view, I have to be careful because I sit on the planning committee. It's got as much chance of getting approved as fly in the sky. It's a green belt location. The junction itself is dangerous. What
Yeah.
they've actually done, they split the field into two. They've only made an application on part of it.
Okay.
I know the highways officer said if it were to get any traction at all, and I can't say whether it will or not, we would expect them to put some massive money on the table to improve the junction at Longwood Road and Sutton Road.
Which, of course, was also a separate exercise that people have been commenting on. I mean, they're clearly related, and I think everybody realises that. That then brings a question: doesn't go ahead, which sounds likely from what you're saying. You still have the potential issues of traffic through the estate. I don't know where everybody lives in Veritably, but has anyone noticed any difference in the amount of traffic passing through the estate since the exercise was done, where it was supposed to be enforcing the U-turn at the end? So has the traffic flow been any different as far as
The temporary curb stand replaced there.
Yes,
I noticed the traffic had even run into that and
indeed.
rolled it over.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that heavier traffic just don't care and it's do a U-turn just the same, and you've still got the same situation.
Yeah.
And then that plugging up the roads, people trying to get out and with a rush hour, obviously.
Yeah.
But I haven't noticed them coming through the estate.
No,
I watch them.
No.
Well, there's more doing the U-turns again now.
yes.
Yeah, they are.
Physically, nothing to stop them doing it, is there at the moment now?
There is a flip side to that. They either U-turn or they speed to the estate,
Yes.
which is the best
Yeah.
speed to vehicles.
Yeah. Well, there was road works or something to do with the M6 on Sutton Road last week, and at peak time, Sutton Road was packed, and they were all rushing through the estate to try and pick up cut it off to push in. And then, so there was a block up of cars on Daffield Road there, leading down to the co-op.
Yeah.
So what they, I don't know, I thought they were going to.
What that is, Highways Authority, should say, are going through a various programme of resurfacing and relining roads. They're doing the Broadway tomorrow. And so therefore, as soon as you get a road closure, people find the way there was an accident by the Bell a couple of days ago, which caused a big problem. People at the Bell, Wallhouse Road was closed. 23-year-old arrested for drink or drug driving, a woman, and the person she hit was also in the 20s, seriously hurt, life-changing injuries. People message, but it's mainly roadworks in relation to resurfacing and lining of the road, the white lines, etc., which we tried to do at night.
Sure.
But this, with this particular situation has always been ongoing, hasn't it? With the rush hour traffic, it's almost, you can guarantee it just comes round. U-turns, if they can't get down, it's through the estate. I don't know what was suggested at the last meeting. Why did they take the temporary bollards or the curb stamps?
Well, it was put in as an
experiment to see how many people. The data we collected was that it didn't make any really difference at all. To be honest, my wife, she never does a U-turn. What she does, she comes to Longwood Lane, she turns left, goes up to Skip Lane. The problem you've got a heavy goods vehicle at the front of the queue. They can't get out. There's only one solution to this, and that's to put traffic lights.
Yes, I would say that the traffic light would seem to be the.
Or with the permanent curb stones of a higher nature would.
What can be invented can be circumvented. Notice you've really invented them.
One day I was following a guy, and when it was in place, and he just stopped and he just nudged it round enough for it to get his wheel round. Unless it's solid.
As a permanent.
Well, yes. I mean, I suppose
you have a job pushing that.
I mean, the reality is, of course, just like Mike is saying, you could just easily drive past there up to the first junction, do a roundabout, and
you've got
back the way, which is not going to improve matters at all.
No.
But, the only way I suppose you're going to stop it happening one day is to make it a one-way in, one-way out on the estate, which somebody else has suggested. But that then hinders people who live at the wrong end of the estate, the direction they want to go to. Coming out at the top end onto Sutton Road, turning right's the problem. You know, if you turn left, generally, if it's not busy, then it's not a problem because there's plenty of space. If it is busy, the cars go slow. They generally let you in. They do it Monday morning when I have to go that route, but it's a turning right that's the issue there, and also, of course, at the bottom end down here.
Bottom end, yeah.
So short of traffic lights and the like, there isn't really any other practical solution to this. So some money was made available, I believe, Mike, for a study on that, or I.
Yeah, we have. We've actually got a plan which has been drawn up of remodelling the junction.
Yeah. It's
just now a matter of putting that into the Highways Capital Programme, really, which obviously always has great calls upon it. And this may sound silly when I say, the more people get killed, the more chance you've got getting something done. If we haven't had enough fatalities, sounds awful, I know, but if we haven't had enough people killed, then unfortunately it goes lower down the pecking order.
Okay, well, we'll keep an eye on that with interest, shall we say. All right, now the one that's come up in the last week or two is in relation to the what's called the No Mow May routine, or a process that is out there. And I understand that the council took the recommendations of the scientific community that it would be beneficial to us all in the long term to allow the insects that breed in the grass through May to allow to do so without cutting out too much of the surface grass off. And I gathered that
we had a directive from government.
Oh right, okay.
It was a directive from central government, the government, to say that we've got to leave the grass uncut.
Right.
That's part of an email which I'll put forward to you.
Yes.
Because this has been a big issue, and I have to say I'm totally opposed to it, and I'll tell you why. I got bitten by a tick, and I got Lyme's disease. Now, when you've got long grass, that's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sorry, I would never be a fan of leaving long grass. the budget which I put together, there was £30,000 saving for keeping the grass uncut, if you like. And I said, no, we're not having any of that. So I said, we'll put that back into the budget, which I did. But the directive from government was, under the local environmental act or whatever, we've got to leave a certain amount of grass uncut for the bees and the flowers and everything that go. I mean, the lady who very kindly volunteers and picks up the litter around Skip Lane, she emailed me, give me a right going over and something else away, because people were throwing litter in the grass and she couldn't get it out. So I had the debris and all that chopped away on the, you know, on the Skip Lane Island, as I call it. But it is a bloody problem, and not only that, when you come to an island, a traffic island, you can't see through the grass. You know, take your life in your hands when you go around one of these islands when the grass literally is about 4
that's right.
I'm sorry, I will keep campaigning.
It surely needs to have a sensible approach added to this, which seems to be a problem with so many different things.
Sensible in local government.
There is a challenge from councillors on it.
Yes.
Councillors in all wards and the wards sort of challenging the rest of it. So I hope there'll be some resolution too.
Couldn't you just cut about a foot along
Yeah,
the
I
side?
could.
Perhaps a bit more, where people can walk through.
Or
But if people have had their dogs running in the long grass, you know, it's a bit of a
Yeah, well, this is what the resident that raised in our group was a lady who, for 50 years where she lived here, had always taken the grandchildren and children grandchildren down to the park at the end of Wood End Road.
Is that Kay?
No.
Sheep.
No, this is another lady. Who I will keep anonymous for the time being, but she was concerned because she wanted to take the grandchildren down to the park where the children were, and she had to go through the long grass to get to the children's area. Now, according to information that Chris kindly passed on and it came back to me, you presumably saw the email that came back, Chris. Yeah. That area, I understand, has been cut to allow access to the children's area now. And this was her complaint, not in principle. She said, I am a naturalist by nature, but this was taken a bit too far, and that she really felt it ought to be accessible at the same time as far as the children's play park was concerned. And this was a map that came back to me from, what's the department called?
Catherine Moore.
Anyway, the department that deals with this, natural nature,
Clean and green.
that's it. And the problem was that she'd sent 2 emails in and nobody replied. So I gather there was some debate about who should have replied to the emails. So that's been sorted out now. We did get a reply. Okay. Yeah, so let's hope that can be slightly tweaked and make everybody happy.
There's a lot of concern, that's all sorts. A lot of concern.
Yeah.
Council again are on the stick about it.
Yeah.
So there will be some resolution afterwards.
Yes, I mean, I say the directive from central government wasn't very well thought through in the first place either.
Well, that's the biggest problem, isn't it? Well, when that cut is now, the grass is blowing everywhere.
It is, you're right.
So when it rains, if you get a thunderstorm, you've got a good chance of your drains being blocked up by all the grass that's been washed down into your drains then. So
The absolute exit, of course.
I stopped years ago.
Nick, we need some really clever brains put on this one, don't we? We'll come up with a solution.
they put the grass in.
Okay, just let us know, folks.
Well, I've just counted, I've got 26 emails about Key Park, if that helps, which is on parkour.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
I'll pass that information to that's in touch with us. Thank you. Okay, let's move on. Right, just a little bit of a sort of not being here. I really want to be putting this up, had I? But I don't know how many of you visited the Police Museum in Birmingham, Steelhouse Lane Station. Well worth a visit, in my humble opinion. Very interesting. It's all the way to the whole building is open now. It's been open just up for 2 years. Some of them don't advertise themselves terribly well because it is well worth an afternoon or a morning's visit there. Very economically priced. What more can I say? You can example there a variety of things. inside what I noticed, they are. It is a museum, friends. They're all volunteers. They're go through all the cells. Has anybody else been there? Just of interest.
No,
Goodness me.
okay.
Okay. I didn't go there in its heyday. I just thought let that be clear. In my youth, that was the place where you didn't want to be. Anyway, I've been pushed up in that case because I think it's something that all ages could deal with, and there are interesting exhibitions in there that are designed for all ages. They have school visits going there, all sorts of things going on. If you're at a loose end for an hour or two and you're in Birmingham, then bear it in mind. Steelhouse Lane, the old cop shop as we used to call it. Okay. Right, now, moving on now to a bit more of the business side of the meeting this evening. As you're probably aware, since David resigned as chair last year, the four of us, the remaining committee members, have been running as what we call a cooperative. It hasn't frankly made a lot of difference to what actually goes on, except we've probably had a few more committee meetings than the last year prior to that. But there are a number of positions that we could do with some help with. And I'm going to throw these out tonight in the hope that somebody might feel they can help in some way, in some short space of time or other. Committee members, well, there are four of us at the moment. I'm skipping over chair for the minute. Committee members, there are four of us at present. We probably could do with another one or possibly two just to help things on a little bit in the routine things we get involved with doing. It's not in any way a time-consuming exercise. In fact, compared to many of the committees I've sat on, it's actually pretty light on your time. But obviously, the more of you are, the easier it is for the individuals themselves. So if you feel you could give some time, then we will be very happy to hear from you, and please do give it some thought. The specific areas which we've been looking at, CCTV record coordinator, I've called it, a very flash title. David Yates, the previous chair, had begun to get together a list of people on the estates and the security equipment that they have installed in the house. By the way, cameras, doorbell cameras and the like, such that it was immediately available should the police needed to know they wanted information around a particular house. They didn't need to go around knocking all the houses on that area. We would have that information very closely controlled, that they could then quickly see people they needed to contact. To do that, obviously, someone needs to be involved with finding out who's got what equipment where and cataloguing it in some way. So that's not itself an insignificant exercise, but it is something that if anyone feels they can get involved with doing, we'll be very happy to hear from you on that front. Now, the one I mentioned earlier, dealing with reported crimes and information coming back to you about what had happened. We've got this position there that we all talk about, the reported crimes coordinator. Now, until about 2021, I think it was, we used to get fairly detailed information, or at least summary information, from Aldridge Station. I think it came from there, but wherever it came from, we used to get it from the police, which would itemise absolutely everything that had gone on in our area. David was able to produce a graph to show how things changed year on year. At that point, the police started to record their information differently, we understood, and no central information was available anymore, other than by going onto the various websites where all the information is recorded. And the problem with that is that unless you have been involved either as a victim of a crime, you have a crime number, you can't access the database that is up online. I think, is that correct? Your understanding, Jess? Yeah. So it's a bit of a chicken and egg, this one is, because we could really do with knowing what's happening in real terms. I mean, we all see things happen at the co-op. That's a very high profile place to go. We know what's going on there to some extent, but there are lots of things that we see happening that we actually don't know what the cause is, what the crime is, or what the results are. Now, we contacted Aldridge again, and the PCSOs there, the two ladies there, have been providing us with some information as to crimes that actually took place. They don't provide us with the results of what happened in the courts because they say they cite privacy concerns as the reason for not giving that information out. So they know, but they can't tell us because it's private, and we can't get at it because we don't have a crime number in order to be able to access the database. So again, it's a bit of a catch-22 situation. We also have the situation we had a violent knife attack on a family on the estate. That didn't appear on the list the week after it happened, and I queried this with PCSOs, and they said, "Oh yeah, well we didn't want to upset people too much, so we didn't put it on your list this time round." So I did then sort of say very nicely, "Please, we need to know everything that's happening, not just filtered information to us." It's still very sketchy. The best one that I use for it.
PCSO now then in this area.
Sorry.
We got a PCSO in this area now.
Yeah, I mean,
I haven't seen one for a
no, there's only two there, two ladies. That's all that's in the
I've
establishment.
never seen them.
No, it's very rare they come in this area.
Yeah.
But they cover a massive area, Aldridge, Brown Hills, Feasley in here. And seriously, there's virtually hardly any crime here at all. They never come here.
He was always around on his phone.
That was Tim.
Yeah.
And he does still come around. He does occasionally come down my road anyway. Not to the estate here. He does parkour, and sometimes he will come walk through here and go to the Sutton Road as well. But he doesn't actually cover our area.
Oh, right.
It's old. We covered from Aldridge and Brown.
I haven't seen one for a few years. Since
No.
really.
Well, we had hoped we could get one or more of them here to the meeting, but the response we get back was they're not on shift in anything.
No.
So again, very sorry we haven't got a police representative here. Whether I'll get any further feedback from that remains to be seen, but I will let everybody know on the usual channels anything we hear. Okay, moving on. Facebook manager and a Twitter or X manager. Really, this is just to complete the online side of what we have. We have our website, which functions reasonably well. This is really just to link in instant messaging for, again, attracting the younger members of the community. It's interesting, this general election that's coming up now, the amount of online media that is out compared to any election I can ever remember in history is enormous. And I guess that's the way it's going to go. I mean, my own lads are all in their 30s and 40s. They are all online all of the time. And I guess your families will probably be the same. Even the very young grandchildren that we have are already involved with using technology when they're 1 or 2 years old, which is staggering. So I guess we have to live with this. It's not going to suddenly go away. And again, it's just another mechanism or another couple of mechanisms there for keeping in touch with people. Some prefer one mechanism to another. So again, if anyone feels they could take on the job of just moderating it and making sure that whatever went on there was not inappropriate, then that's something that we consider might be useful as far as the community is concerned. And the same for Twitter. Sorry. Facebook. You've got a Facebook group. No, we have got a Facebook group, but it doesn't do very much at the moment because it needs somebody to keep an eye on it. This is really where we're coming from. If anybody would like to take it on, I say it's not exactly going to be a particularly arduous exercise. It's set up. It's really just a question of putting information into there. Maybe even just taking information that is coming through WhatsApp groups and putting it into Facebook as well, and vice versa. So, you know, if anyone would like to take that on board, that would be absolutely great. The accounts are all set up. It's just another thing for the present 4 members of the committee to do. So please, if you have, you know, an hour or so that you could spend doing this or whatever, then we'll be very happy to hear from you, and hopefully it will help as far as everyone's concerned. Okay, right. A plug for the local community to hear. And again, this is in an appeal for help, really. Sunday the 23rd of June, the church here are having their summer community celebration. Now, they have this pretty much every year, as I recall, but we haven't actually had a stand for Neighbourhood Watch at any of the previous meetings. We would very much like to do this for this meeting, but of course, as Sod's Law have it, 3 of the 4 of us on the Presa committee are actually away on holiday at that point, including myself. So, Guy, I'm not putting you on the spot here. You're going to be around at weekends, you know, maybe. Really, all this would involve is the use of having a stand where we could give out copies of the magazine that we've got here, the last paper copy, and basically signing people up, getting their subscriptions for joining the association. It's only for, 3 hours looking at that. So if anyone can spare 3 hours just to sit, stand and smile to somebody, you can have the nice big sign we've got over there at the back of the stand. And just to say, you know, we are here. And if you'd like to join us officially, that would be great. If anyone can help with that, again, please either speak to us now or later in the week, or email us, let us know what the situation is. But again, if we could get some help there for just for one weekend, it would really be appreciated, simply because it just happens to clash with existing holidays for a number of us. Okay. Right, and then we come on to the nasty bit. Annual subscriptions are due from tonight. We have upped it from a minimum of £1 last year to about £2 this year. And I'm sorry about that, and that's way above even the diabolical rate of inflation we've had over the last 12 months. But since we've gone online for all this now, we do unfortunately have to pay the companies that are actually doing the bank processing of it. So we pay something like 36 pence out of the premium if it's paid through PayPal card handling. A little bit less if you swipe the card machine, which we have over here tonight. So anyone who wants to give us maximum benefit, they can place their card on that machine over there before they go, and that would be great. That's available here tonight. Normally, the easy route is to go to our website, where there is a link straight away where you can go into it. Now, this is the screen that you see if you go to the website. As soon as you hit on the link to make a payment, it comes up with a screen there. Stress again, you don't have to be anything to do or a member of PayPal to use this. It's an open system. You use the link at the bottom there, donate with a debit or a credit card, and then that takes you onto the screen after that, which then says how much you're going to pay and who you are. Now, I've put this on all the text relating to payments by this method. If you want us to know and make sure you're allocated as having paid, we need you to put your name, postcode and house number in that write a note field. Quite correctly, PayPal don't send the card information to us because it's nothing to do with us. What you fill in below there is what you would normally do for any online payment made by any of the payment transaction companies. So we see nothing below that write a note optional box there. I'll say, if you want it to be anonymous, that's fine. But if you prefer us to acknowledge it, that you've got it, you've made the payment, then please make sure you fill that form in as well in that box.
There is a space where you can pay more.
Yes, well, I mean, basically, the amount that I put in there is actually I put in by hand. It comes up with 0 to start with, and then you just tap in however much you want to pay. We've changed to use a donation system because it's more flexible from that point of view. And you can donate as much or as little as you like. Yeah. But we do ask that it's a minimum of £2 for the reasons I'll explain. Okay, right, I'm going to hand over now to Guy, who is our Street Watch coordinator, and he can give you a bit of an update on what's been going on over the last 12 months.
Hello, I'm Guy Ferenside. I'm the Street Watch coordinator. I'm also on the Neighbourhood Watch committee as well. Street Watch is actually separate from Neighbourhood Watch. We obviously have links with it, but it's a lot of people, the same people as on Neighbourhood Watch, they're also on Street Watch. So we actually got for this area here, we've just got 7 people at the moment on Street Watch, and we're a separate organisation to Neighbourhood Watch, and we report directly to the PCSOs in the Aldridge Police Station. So if you'd like to be a member of Street Watch, what we do is we patrol this area. We have to sign up to do a minimum of 2 hours a month, and then you've seen the WM Now website. On there, if you're a member, there's a little button, extra button at the top. You go to Street Watch, and I can put a request to all the Street Watch members to say we're going to do a patrol next Sunday, meeting at the car park. and we all meet up, and you can accept or decline it, and then we do a patrol around the street. There's only 7 of us at the moment. 5 of us actually like doing it on bicycles. So if we do it on bicycles, we can actually cover, on one patrol, we cover every single street in the area. So, and since we report straight to the police, we have to go on their site, on WM now, and do a report of, and we map exactly which roads we've gone down. We get a Google Maps street map, and we can log it every single point we went to, do a little write-up and how long it took us to do that. And it keeps a log of who's done how many hours and what, and a report on every single report, a patrol we've done. Now, if anybody would like to become a member of Street Watch, look on page 3 of your magazine there. We'll give you my details, and you sign up to it. There's a very simple training to do it. If you want to join, contact me. I'll send you a link to there's a YouTube video done by the PCSOs in Aldridge. Explains what Street Watch is all about, how it's all managed. And then if you want to give me your details, I'll pass them on to the police, and they'll do some vetting. And then if that's okay, we'll get a Street Watch high-vis magazine jacket, and then you get put onto our group, and then I can see all the different members of our Street Watch patrol group. And then when I organise one, or any other member can organise their own. It doesn't have to be me. And you send out the invite by email or SMS messages to all the people you invite on the patrol, and then you can either accept or deny, or say no, I can't make it that day. Yeah, so if you'd like to be a member, just page 3, and you'll be making contact with me.
Page 3, eh?
Page 3.
Tells me something.
It's on the sun. It's our magazine.
Thank you, Guy. Okay, right, so that's Street Watch. So if anyone needs exercise and would like to help out at the same time, we're very happy to take you on. Right, unfortunately our treasurer, Helena Wilson, is involved with a school event for her daughter, and she'd hoped to be here by now, but she's clearly not made it yet. She may still make it. Something that dropped on her at the last minute. She was not at all pleased about the situation. So I said that we would cope, and her report for the year, which is fairly minimal in requirements, is on page 3 of the magazine. So if you have a quick look at that, as you can see from her report, the printing of the magazines is what is in fact our largest cost, and this has driven pretty much the decision to go online as far as the normal magazine is concerned. Subscriptions that we took as income last year was a total of just under £600, but at the same time we spent over £880. The only thing that was non-recurring was a piece of hardware which we're using tonight, in fact, out in the corridor to allow us to have a decent wireless signal in here to be able to stream the information for people to watch who are not here tonight. If you take that off it, then you're looking at still having spent £800 against an income of less than 600. Clearly, we are not at a really desperate situation yet. We have a decent amount of balance to deal with that, but it wouldn't take that long if we continue to produce the magazines at the rate we were to depreciate that. So that's the situation. As I said, going forward, the notes at the bottom, going forward, the end of the mass paper copies will eliminate most of the printing costs. So we were talking about this in committee the other day and saying that probably if we can raise as income £350 in a year, which is not a lot, hopefully it will prove this to be the case, then that will be enough to keep us running as we are. The costs of running electronically on the website are not high, as you can see from the subscriptions there. Little over £10–12 a month in total, which is a lot less than the equivalent of the magazine costs. Okay, what was the other point was on there? Yes, so just as a matter of note, on item 3 at the bottom there on notes to accounts, in order to go through the electronic payment side, we have opened accounts up with PayPal, so you don't have to be a PayPal member to use it. As I've stressed, we nevertheless have to be members in order to be able to collect that way. And SumUp, which is a different organisation that deals with the credit card machine over there, which I'm sure you've seen used by every man and his dog these days. Seem to have one of those. They must do very well out of it. But their charges are significantly less, it has to be said, than PayPal's are. But we have to go with what's available there. Okay, so moving on from. Oh, sorry. Any questions on the accounts? Anyone want to query anything? Okay. Okay, we now move on to the penultimate item of the agenda, which is election of committee members. Now, the four current committee members are myself, Ian Crutchley, Guy Fairnside, and Helen Wilson, who, as I say, unfortunately isn't here as of yet this evening. We're happy to offer ourselves for re-election, but any new nominations will be very welcome as well. Ian, do you want to pick up here?
The point that I wish to make was that Bob's doing. I'm sure you'll appreciate Bob's carrying the weight. He's pulling all the extra work. He's been acting as chairman, and we wanted to put it to you as to say, would you like Bob to be your chairman? Bob is prepared to take on the role full time.
Yes.
So I nominate you as chairman, Bob.
Thank you, Ian. Yes, I would like to say that in light of David Yates' comments last year, I can't offer his athleticism and beauty. It's beyond my years, but I can offer some experience in the area. So I'm very happy to take it on, and if everyone is in favour, then thank you very much. I'll gladly accept. Okay, we have then three existing nominations. First is for Ian to continue on the committee. Can I have a proposer for that, please? Yep, thank you. And a seconder, I suppose, what would officially happen, we guess. All in favour? Aye. Thank you. Same for Guy, who is quite happy to continue in his role as Streetwatch Coordinator and Committee Member. Proposer for Guy? Thank you. Right. Okay, and all. Thank you. Show of hands. Okay. Helena isn't here tonight. I will propose that Helena continues as treasurer. I think she does a really good job. She isn't in the best of health right at this minute, and in spite of that, she has spent many hours sorting through the magazines ready for people to take away or to go to the various people who are distributing it. So I think she certainly gives her utmost as far as it's concerned. So I propose that Helena continues as treasurer. Could someone like to second that? Thank you. Okay, and all in favour? That's it. Carried. Thank you. Do we have any other nominations of people who would like to become part of the committee at this point? No. Okay. That's not entirely surprised, but you know, it's something that you need to have some time to be able to put to it. We feel that the committee's functioned reasonably well over the last 12 months, the way things are run. But please, we can always do with more help for the roles that I've already outlined tonight. So if you get home and decide, well, maybe I could spend an hour, a couple of hours, whatever, doing this, then we're very happy to hear from you. And please do contact us again. Okay, getting near to the end now. So any other business? Anything anyone would like to raise at this point?
We've had a couple of comments in through YouTube.
Thank you. I was going to ask you those, yes.
We've had a question from Lowry asking just to confirm when the £2 was due. Is it tonight?
Well, any time from now onwards, yes. Yes,
okay.
Please. Okay.
And we've also had a comment from Tim on Sutton Road.
Yes.
He's offered he can look at Twitter for you.
Oh, right. Sorry,
offered to look at Twitter for you.
Oh, Twitter, excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Tim. That's great.
So I tend to pop up on the WhatsApp group.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Well, that's super. Progress. Good. Thank you. Anything else anybody would like? We have the two councillors here tonight. Are there any other questions that you would like to ask them that may be able to spread any light, or would you gentlemen like to say anything? If you've anything you want to put into the conversation?
Dealt with the issues that we've been talking about.
Yes.
The junction and everything else, and the development out back to the road. There's nothing really I've got to raise. I don't know if I might say anything.
No, obviously we are going through the local plan now where we've got to find the housing required for the next 10 years. All sites will be considered, even those that are in the green belt. Whether we'll have to build on that remains to be seen. But there are quite a lot of brownfield sites around the borough. That's probably going to be the most contentious issue going forward. But as far as I'm concerned, you know, we are there. Well, we do a surgery here first Thursday of the month, and we're in Feasy on the first Saturday in the month, and we're there to, you know, assist in any way we can. There are some concerns about planning, I have to say. You know, we see a 2-bedroom bungalow being pulled down to build a 6-bedroom house. The issue there, of course, and wanted in the revenue, is they only pay the same council tax for the 2-bedroom bungalow until it's sold. Now, yeah, quite honestly, the character of Orchard Hills and indeed Park Hall has changed dramatically in the last 10 years. When somebody always say to me, do you even buy that nursing home? It's a 14-bed house opposite me, which was granted by the Secretary of State. So there are some concerns about planning, but regrettably, whenever you get a government in power or going out of power, that effectively they have to tinker around with the planning system. And as a result, there will be and has been some changes in the last few months, particularly about permitted development. And so therefore you will see things that will happen, and you'll by all means report them to me or Chris or Adrian. A lot of this now does not need planning permission.
Well, that seems to be one of the big pushes with election manifestos anyway, that the planning system is going to be relaxed, and you know, that can be anything, of course.
The worrying part is whenever you get a minister who knows nothing about planning, and that must be one of the qualifications, I think.
Yes.
Because I've sat on the planning committee for 45 years, and I've seen some things change, but ministers know nothing about local government, and they come across with all these ideas about planning. They don't realise the impact it has on somebody living next door to the planning permission that doesn't need planning permission. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
And Ian and I have had issues with a particular individual where he lives, but at the end of the day, the biggest issue we face now in Walsall Council is enforcement, because people are now not building in accordance with the plans, and it happens daily. And to get the enforcement team to grab hold of that, there's about 47 Fallowfield Road, where there's a building being built in the back. I went and had a look at it from the road, and it's, well, whatever it's supposed to be, it isn't. It's becoming another dwelling in the garden, whether you like it or not. You know, I don't know whether the man who lives at 47's here, or I don't care. You know, at the end of the day, I've never been one for my diplomacy, as you all know. At the end of the day, it's a breach of planning. It's a breach of planning.
Doesn't that if it's been approved, that should pay a separate council tax payment, shouldn't it?
Oh yes, it should. It's the word. Should be an operative. No,
That would have come under
it doesn't come up now. Unless it's a residential dwelling, it doesn't attract any further council tax.
But if it is a residential dwelling, then
if it is a residential dwelling and they got planning permission, I'll pull it down. I've done that twice now. One in Wallhouse Road and one at Sandringham Avenue in Willenhall. I can't say I'm very popular with the owner, but at the end of the day, you've got to do what you've got to do. Yep.
You know where you just mentioned that property across the road from you has got 14 bedrooms, etc. And I can remember the days when poll tax was introduced and then quashed because everybody was moaning about it. Why is there a limit of, I think, is it band F?
No, band H.
H. Why is there a maximum? Why doesn't it just go up to J, K?
Well, it goes back to the valuation, which was probably 30 years ago, when the rating system was supposedly overhauled, and we ended up with council. I mean, I thought Mrs. Thatcher's idea was great. Margaret was a good MP as far as I'm and a good Prime Minister, but it didn't work. Well, people resisted it. but everybody paid their own way.
Absolutely.
Now, sadly, where we are, everybody gets an election campaign now. We're going to overhaul the rating system. We're going to overhaul the business rate. They won't do it. You know,
Surely the
politicians.
simple thing would be to have a proper revaluation. As you say, so we're paying tax on house values that were in 1991, I think it's somewhere around that. And it's that time, government after government has been promising revaluation. It's never happened. There's a massive injustice built up in that time.
Well, the problem is, you see, is reevaluation means it only ever goes up.
Yeah,
So
it will go.
everybody sitting in this room, we pay more capital tax. You know, mine is about 3,000 quid. You know, I'm in Band G for my sins. But there we are. You know,
It's just an unfair system, isn't
it is an unfair system, and that's why the poll tax was there because everybody. I used to say to my PA, well, one of my girls that worked for me at the time, you know, you come out at night, are the lights on? Well, yeah, you don't pay for that. You know, when you throw your litter away, do you put it in a separate pile? No, put it in the bin. Well, you're not paying for that. And when you go on the roads, you know, are the potholes all fixed? Yeah, well, you're not paying for that. But she couldn't understand what I was trying to say to her. People, there are some, many of us in this room, who are contributing to things that. Do you remember the one with the dog?
Absolutely.
Bloody hell. I'll tell you, whenever somebody comes in and it's going to be controversial, he goes under the table because he knows I'll go off on one. The woman came to see us on a Saturday morning, it's gospel truth. She said, "You've taken our field off us." I said, "What field's that?" And Fox Hill's stables closed down. And so they leased a field which the council owned. So I said, "Well, what do you mean your field?" So I've been walking my dog on there for years. So you've been trespassing there? She said, "Yeah." She said, "What are you doing with my council tax?" And I said, "Well, you know, I want the park extended." And I said, "Well, that's all very good." I said, "But we've only got so much money." I said, "We have to look after adult social care. I've got no elderly people." I said, "Well, one day you might get old." And then we also have to look after education. I've got no children. And I kind of lost it. Kind of said, so, well, yeah, why don't you just go in Anglo-Saxon invective? Because she was just, all she cared about was walking her bleeding dog on a thrill. But the whole budget of the council, £1 billion budget, covers everything. And if I say to you that we are now got 626, last count, 626 children in care. The average for a child in care is over £3,000 a week. Now, sadly, some of those are in care for reasons that, you know, I don't know, maybe the parents got killed in a car crash, things like that. Some of them are very different cases, but that is a big ticket item. That and adult social care. You'll hear during this general election how the Conservative Party and the Labour Party and the Liberals and the Wilderness Dog are going to solve adult social care. They're not. Because as soon as they get in, they'll spend their time telling you why they can't do what they promise. You know, and I've been around a long time, as you all know. But I'm not, as I said earlier, renowned for my diplomacy. You've got to tell people the answer's no. The answer's no. Some people don't like the answer, but sometimes no, isn't it?
It is, yeah, I agree.
And if it's no, they say, "Well, you tell them." Okay. So it is an unfair system. Go on.
1991 or whatever.
Yeah.
Who determined that there was going to be a maximum band?
Inland revenue.
That the inland revenue.
They still have now. The inland, well, yes, the government gave the directive, but the inland revenue, or the valuation of which is part of HMRC, they're the people. What I'm doing, believe it or not, I'm looking at those 2-bedroom bungalows that have been pulled down and built a 6-bedroom house, and I'm making a list and reporting them back to the revenue. Because that goes into the council coffers to assist in keeping the council tax to a level that people can afford. Well, if you can afford it. But at the end of the day, you know, it is a growing problem. As I said, if you go into Parkhall, it's now changed landscape over the last 10 years, and it's happening here. It's happening in Orchard Hills. You know, there are now buildings which were 2-bed bungalows, 3-bed bungalows, being pulled down, and they're becoming 6-bedroom houses.
But on that point, the old crown, the 3 Crowns site,
yes,
which seemed to have ground to a halt. Why? Any news on that?
How long have you got? Auction by a gentleman who is a gentleman, nice guy. a guy called Pal Singh, who I know quite well. He recently bought the Old Square Shopping Centre in Warsaw, and he's trying to regenerate that. He got permission on there to build 5 properties, slightly larger than the footprint of the pub. And I said to him, "You'll never sell them. 5,000 square feet." He said, "Well, I could put a helicopter pad on top." No, I don't think you get away with that. The current situation is applied to the planning department to use the footprint of those 5 properties. Let's call it 25,000 square feet. Smaller properties, 7 in number, which I think would be far better and would sell quickly in the open market. Larger ones. That's my view. But it hasn't been determined yet. But I keep telling him that, I'm not going to sit back and watch the fly tipping going on. But he has put a fence around it now. Yeah, he will do something eventually, but he's not the fastest in doing it.
Another property is the old police station in Walsall. That's been demolished.
It has.
What?
And it belongs to a guy called Jim Kelly. Jim Kelly owns a company called DSM Demolition. He bought that I nearly bought it for the council. He paid 750,000 for it. He's got permission for a block of apartments. I don't know when flats became apartments, but they are now. Yeah. And he had Watmoss across the road who were going to move, and he was going to do a land swap. They then went cold on that. The cost of building now has rocketed by about 30–40%. So therefore, it's now become non-viable. When I was pursuing this a few months back, we are looking for service stations for electric vehicles. I'm not a fan of electric vehicles either, by the way. I'm a Philistine vegan. I like my diesel, right? Electric cars will be the bane of society because you can't dispose of the batteries. Hydrogen's the way forward in my view. Yeah. Not as I'm a scientist. But the idea was to have a service station. So I said that was ideal. The proximity to the motorway, junction 9, 7 and 10, people could pull in there. So that's still on the anvil to actually build a service station there purely for electric vehicles. On the site, there would also be some kind of food and beverage facility, not a McDonald's, but somewhere where people can spend, like, I don't know, Costa Coffee, they're everywhere now, where people could go in while their vehicle's charging. So that's the idea. And Mr. Elon Musk, who invented PayPal, by the way, that's how he made his money. He'd be grateful to know that his Teslas are being plugged in. So that's the plan for that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike. That's.
Can I just ask one other question? You know, since they've had the new lights down the road, when they changed the lighting.
Yes, the LED ones.
Yeah, they put the new ones in like last winter and that. Well, on the left-hand side of the road, because it's such a wide front, it's absolutely pitch black at night.
Whereabouts on the road?
On the left-hand side of the Sutton Road.
Ah.
So.
Well, you're not going to like the answer I'm going to give you.
No.
I'm going to give you. The LED, the illumination, as they call it, the illumination of those lights, is a downward light.
Yeah.
Now, the problem is, and we've had this since we introduced this in Block Street about 6 years ago, people say, well, I must be able to see my front door. Well, I'm sorry, that's not what the law says. We are there to light the footway. So it's a downward light as opposed to an overflow of light.
Yeah.
So, and we are governed by the gaps between the lampposts. We don't own the lampposts, by the way, they belong to Amy's. We did a PFI about 20 years ago. Yeah. So that's the answer there. It's downward light and it's not an overflow of light.
But then all along the whole of the road, it's just pitch black.
Well, it's certainly, we turn the lights off.
The footpath is just completely black.
Right.
So I don't know if anybody lives on the left-hand side or not, or on the right-hand side if you go further down.
Or it is, if you start at the bottom, on the right-hand side they've got the long frontages, so it's dark there. And as you go past the long one, then the frontages are deeper on the left-hand side.
Yes.
So it's the footpaths there.
So you just create dark corridors for people to walk up and down.
Right.
I'm not,
Well, I hadn't noticed it, but I've got to have a look.
Well, it needs to be done. Yeah, so if you cross over to the long one and walk on the left, is how you're going to go up the Sutton Road. And the long front, it's pitch black of a night now. Obviously, this time of year it's not
Right.
They come like November, October. It's absolutely pitched dark.
That's quite dangerous for the long one.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. People walking the dog, well, if you've got a dog, it's not quite so bad, but it's not very nice to walk down for anyone, to be honest. And it is so dark.
Well, I'll pick it up, Chris.
Yeah.
Make a note.
Obviously,
My
it's gonna be-
secretary's got it. Still around.
But it's so dark.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Okay, well, I think in that case, a thank you to everybody for attending tonight. Thank you to Mike and Chris for putting their self on the line. Thank you to Alex Clark on tech tonight, who's been dealing with people watching remotely. And with that, thank you again for electing me as chair. I will do my best to continue the cause. We will see you all next time. Thank you very much.
I'm certainly grateful for the work you do. We don't get involved because we don't feel we should politicise Neighbourhood Watch. I started the first Neighbourhood Watch ever in 1987 with PC Tony Hosier. He got an MBE, I got Southall, but Tony's died. But it has been a huge success across the country. You're the eyes and ears where the police aren't doing their job. And I say that candidly because the police are under pressure, we all know. When I never thought I'd grow up in a world where 12-year-olds were being charged with murder. But, you know, I heard a guy today, some kind of pundit, who basically said the choice of weapon is now a knife. And we have become desensitised to that threat. And I think
Going
that's
through
extremely sad.
the police blog, as I do for each magazine,
Yeah.
I mean, I could put in another half a dozen entries just about knife crime. You know, every week there's one or two entries, and across the West Midlands, Coventry seems to be that area as well for knife.
Burnley, if you cross the border and they're searching for weapons, if you haven't got any, they give you some.
Fire out.
They've got
And on that happy note, any Chris?
Excellent communication.
Yeah, it's very instant
Channel.
and yes.
Because then there might be cats, but then also people are saying, watch out, there's somebody down the road, you know, somebody a bit dodgy.
Can I
And we
just
all
say-
look out.
Can I just say on your WhatsApp group, please keep your eyes open for travellers. There are travellers in the area who are, I mean, opposite me, there's a guy, single guy, elderly, I think he's in his late 80s now. They come up, clean your grocery, you know, they get sucked in. And of course they get, I think just people have to beware. If somebody knocks on your door and asks you to do some work, if you didn't want it in the morning, you don't want it now. And I think they can be intimidating, but they are in the area. Tree cutting, drive cleaning, that's the kind of thing they go for.
I think what's been evident, particularly over the last 12 months, is that people have put on things that subsequently turned out not to be anything suspicious, but they were there in the first place. I think as long as people can report the facts of the matter, and then we can assess it properly, because people had knowledge of what was going on in some cases that the person had seen it didn't have. But I think that's the benefit and the advantage of a WhatsApp system.
Well, I'm in the WhatsApp group for Park Hall now, just off the Birmingham Road, as you probably know, in Charlotte Road, and it is very active. But there are some that take advantage, like, I found a dog in the garden. No, sod that. It's about crime, this is, you know. Bugger the dog, you know. And
this is why.
Yesterday, care home at Woodlands Avenue, just in case you come across it on planning. Number 12, Woodlands Avenue, care home. Oh, they'll be housing drugs and help. No, it's a care home. Care equals elderly. What that's got to do with crime, I don't know. But there we go. So, that's the latest.
Right, thank you once again.
Thank you all.
And, safe journey home.
Oh, anybody would like to make us